fisherman steps on a forbidden shore where time stands still. By nightfall, he will no longer be human. If you are new here, then please subscribe this channel and show thumbs up by liking the video. Now let's move to this wonderful story. There was a village by the edge of the sea, where time moved slowly and the people lived quietly. It was a place of fishing nets, warm bread, and stories told by firelight. Not far from the village stood a hidden beach, untouched and perfect, shaped like a crescent moon and covered with the softest white sand. This beach was known as Lowmere Cove. No one went there. The fishermen would sail their boats close by, but never too close. They said the air around the beach felt thick, as if it held a secret it refused to tell. Birds never landed there. Animals kept their distance. Even bees passed over the flowers that bloomed at the edges of the grass. Something was wrong with Lowmere Cove, though no one could say exactly what. Some said the waves pulled back too quickly. Others claimed the breeze stopped moving when it reached the sand. One old woman once whispered that enchantment had a smell, and that Lowmere Cove smelled of forgotten magic. But one evening, a young fisherman named Ranil returned from sea later than usual. Ranil was cheerful, curious, and brave in a way that sometimes bordered on foolishness. He had spent the day hauling his nets up and down the coast and now had a boat full of fish. The sun was sinking low, painting the sky in streaks of gold and purple. Instead of sailing back to the village harbor, Ranil steered his boat toward Lowmere Cove. Just for a moment, he told himself. Just to count the fish and stretch my legs. His boat slid onto the sand without a sound. He stepped onto the beach, leaving footprints where no man had walked for many years. The silence was thick, like a woolen blanket, but he didn't notice. Ranil began pulling his catch from the nets. Silver-scaled fish gleamed in the fading light. There were mullet, snapper, and even one long, sharp-beaked swordfish. He laid them carefully in a line, proud of his haul. His stomach growled, and he thought about the stew he would cook later. Then something moved. At first, he thought it was the wind. Maybe the shadows were playing tricks. But no, he was sure of it. The swordfish's tail twitched. He blinked and shook his head. Must be nerves, he muttered, chewing on a reed he had plucked from near the water. The taste of the reed was sweet, like honey. The tail twitched again. Then one of the mullets flipped over. Then another. Ranil stared, frozen. Every single fish he had caught, every one, began to wriggle and thrash as if they had never been dead. Their gills moved. Their eyes blinked. One by one they flopped off the sand and slid back into the sea, vanishing beneath the waves. He didn't try to stop them. He couldn't. His mouth hung open. He dropped the reed. "What in the world?" he whispered. But the reed was still in his mouth, and without thinking he bit down. Sap burst across his tongue, sweet and strange, like honey and salt. Before he could spit it out, he swallowed. His heart began to race. His chest felt tight. Too tight. His skin tingled as though it were shrinking. Panic swept over him, and he began tearing at his clothes. They felt like chains, squeezing his body. He stripped down to nothing, gasping, his feet burning where they touched the sand. The sea shimmered ahead. The water looked cool, welcoming, alive. Without a second thought, Ranil laughed, a wild, surprised, joyful laugh, and shouted, "Goodbye, world. You and I must part company." And then he ran toward the waves and dove into the sea. He did not drown. Instead, as he sank beneath the surface, he found he could breathe. Not like before, not with lungs and air, but with something new, something deeper. The water no longer felt cold. It felt like home. His legs no longer kicked. They had changed, joined together, smooth and strong, like the tail of a great fish. His skin shimmered with new colors. His arms felt powerful, his shoulders broader, his hair longer and flowing with the current. He laughed again, this time releasing a trail of bubbles that sparkled like stars. Ranil had become something else. Not a man, not a fish, something in between. And as he swam through the fading light, twisting and spinning through the water, he felt a joy unlike anything he had known before. The sea had taken him in. He had stepped onto a cursed beach, swallowed its strange gift, and now the world above would never know where he had gone. But the ocean would remember. Ranil drifted through the water, amazed by how different everything felt. His body moved like it belonged in the ocean. The water no longer resisted him. It welcomed him, lifting him, carrying him with ease. With a single flick of his tail, he soared forward, faster than he ever thought possible. Beneath him, the seabed stretched out like a forgotten world. Coral towers stood like castles. Seaweed danced in slow rhythms, and small fish darted in and out of hidden corners. Strange creatures glowed in the shadows, lighting the path ahead with soft colors. As he swam, Ranil realized he was not alone. A gentle voice echoed through the water, like music carried on the current. It was not a song with words, but a sound that made his chest feel warm and his heart beat slower. He followed the sound, drawn to it without knowing why. In time, he came upon two figures waiting in the deep. One was tall and calm, with silver, fins and skin that shimmered like moonlight. The other was smaller, rounder, and had eyes that smiled even before his mouth did. "Welcome, traveler," said the taller one. "I am Merlin, guardian of the quiet deep. This is my friend Silef. We have been waiting for you." Ranil blinked. "You knew I was coming?" "Not your name," Silef said with a grin. "But the sea always whispers when something new arrives. We heard your ripple before we saw your face." "How is this possible?" Ranil asked. "I was just a fisherman. Now, I don't even know what I am." "You are what the sea has made of you," Marilyn said. "It doesn't happen often, but once in a while someone touches the old magic. You did. And now, the ocean has claimed you. Is this forever? Only if you wish it to be." Ranil didn't know what to say. Everything he had known was behind him now, his boat, his village, his old life. And yet here in the water, he felt more alive than ever. In the days that followed, Marilyn and Silef showed him how to live beneath the sea. He learned to speak in currents and listen with more than his ears. He rode with dolphins who played like children and raced through the waves. He explored hidden caves filled with glowing shells and listened to old stories told by the oldest turtles in the world. Ranil became stronger, faster, and braver than he had ever been on land, but he was not empty inside. Something tugged at him still. A quiet ache he couldn't explain. That ache found a shape one afternoon when he came upon a place unlike any he had seen. It was a reef made of smooth stones, each one glowing faintly, like stars at dusk. Sunlight spilled through the water, soft and golden, and there, sitting on a wide rock, was a figure. She was combing her hair with a shell, humming a tune so soft it almost got lost in the waves. Her skin shimmered with light, and her hair floated around her like a cloud. She looked almost human, but smaller and gentler, like a dream shaped by water. Ranil stopped. She looked up. Their eyes met. For a long moment, neither moved. Then she screamed and dropped her comb. "What are you?" she cried, backing away toward the deeper water. Ranil raised his hands. "Wait, please, I'm not here to hurt you. My name is Ranil. I used to be a man, a fisherman. Now I live here." "You're not like us," she said, her voice shaky. "Your arms, your skin, I know. It's strange, even to me. But I saw you and I had to say something." She stared at him, unsure. "What's your name?" he asked. After a pause, she said softly, "Lyrian." "That's beautiful." She turned quickly and swam away without another word. Ranil watched her go, his heart heavier than it had been in days. He returned to Marilyn and Silef, unsure of what to do. He told them everything. "She is a spirit of the waves," Marilyn explained. "Kind and strong, but cautious. She has seen harm come from the surface world. She fears what she does not understand." "But I'm not like that," Ranil said. "I didn't come here to harm her." "Then show her," Silef said. "But do so gently. Sometimes hearts open slowly, like clams hiding their pearls." Ranil nodded. But he could not shake the feeling that it might not be enough. She had seen his outside, and it had frightened her. What if she never saw the man inside? As days passed, he swam near her favorite places but stayed at a distance. He saw her sometimes, but she never looked his way again. The ache inside him grew. Then he heard of a place far away, a lonely island called Vanastra, where a woman named Marith lived. They said she could brew anything, potions for healing, charms for protection, and even spells for love. Ranil knew it was risky, but the feeling in his chest would not let him rest. He had found something precious, and he could not let it slip away without trying. And so, with a heart full of hope and fear, he set off toward the island where the waters turned darker and the magic ran deep. Ranil swam through darker waters far from the coral gardens and silver shoals he had come to love. The ocean here was quieter, colder, and still. It felt older, like something that remembered too much. He was searching for Vanastra, the island of secrets. Stories whispered it was a place where trees grew taller than towers and the ground steamed with hidden heat. They said a woman lived there, one who could speak to the ocean, bend it to her will, and change the course of love and fate. Her name was Marith. Ranil did not know if the stories were true, but his heart had not stopped aching since Lyrian turned away from him. He couldn't forget her face, the way her voice sounded like waves brushing against rocks. He had to try something. Anything. Finally, after days of swimming, Ranil reached the edge of the island. It rose out of the sea like a jagged tooth. The shore was covered in black stones and steam drifted up from cracks in the ground. Thick trees covered most of the island, their branches twisted and tangled together. Strange birds watched from above, and the air was filled with the scent of salt and ash. Ranil stepped onto the shore and called out, "Marith, I've come in peace. I need your help." No answer. He walked further, following a narrow path into the trees. The light grew dim. Vines moved when he wasn't looking. The silence was so deep even his footsteps sounded like they didn't belong. Then, without warning, a voice spoke. "You are brave to come here, Seaborn." Ranil turned. Standing before him was a woman with hair the color of burning coals and eyes like calm storms. Her skin shimmered like molten stone and her fingers held a staff made from twisted roots. "Are you Marith?" Ranil asked. "I am," she said. "And you are far from your waters. Tell me, why have you come?" Ranil stepped forward. "I was once a man. Now I am something else. The sea changed me, and I have made a home beneath it. But there is someone I care for deeply. Her name is Lyrian. She's a sea spirit, kind and wise. But when she saw me, she was afraid. She turned away." Marith listened, her eyes never blinking. "I don't want to scare her," he continued. "I want to speak to her heart, to help her see who I really am. Is there anything you can give me, a spell or potion that might help?" Marith looked at him for a long moment. "You wish to change her feelings?" "No," Ranil said quickly. "I only want to open her heart to the chance of knowing me." At this, Marith smiled, but it was a strange smile, one that curved like a knife. "You speak with honesty," she said. "Many come to me asking to force love. You only ask to be seen. I will help you." Ranil let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "Thank you." Marith turned and began walking into the forest. "Follow me." They moved through trees that whispered in a language only magic could understand. Finally, they reached a small clearing where a circle of stones surrounded a fire that burned blue. Beside it, a pot bubbled with thick liquid, and hanging from the branches above were bundles of dried herbs and roots. Marith reached into a wooden chest and pulled out a small leather pouch. She opened it and showed Ranil the contents, black roots twisted like serpents and glowing faintly from within. "Take these," she said. "Sprinkle them into the pool where Lyrian swims. The water will carry the spell. Do not speak. Do not wait. Leave at once." "Will it hurt her?" Ranil asked. "It will open her heart," Marith said softly. "That is what you asked for." Ranil nodded, though a shadow of doubt flickered inside him. He thanked her and took the pouch. As he turned to leave, Marith spoke again. "You will not forget me," she said. He paused. "I won't." Her eyes gleamed. "No, you won't." With the pouch tied carefully to his belt, Ranil swam back through the sea, holding on to hope like a fragile shell. He reached the lagoon where Liren often came, a pool near a cluster of tall rocks and soft seagrass. He waited until the water stilled, then opened the pouch. The roots fell slowly, black and smoking, curling like ink in the blue. They hissed as they touched the surface, then sank. Ranil left just as Marith had told him. Not long after Lyrian arrived. She glided into the pool, graceful and calm, unaware of what had been left for her. She swam in circles, enjoying the warmth of the sunlight above. But soon something changed. Her body shivered. Her skin began to twist. She reached for the shore, crawling up the sand, gasping. She looked down and screamed. Where her waist had once been smooth and perfect, 6 dark shapes had grown. Beasts with eyes wide and wild, teeth like knives and tongues that snarled. They were not beside her. They were part of her. Lyren backed away in horror, her cries echoing across the rocks. Far away, Ranil felt something stir in the sea. He turned, sensing something was wrong, and on Vanastra. Mareth stood by her fire, laughing softly. Ranil felt it before he knew it. A pull, a pressure in the water. Something not quite right. It was like the sea had taken a deep breath and was holding it. He turned back toward the lagoon, his heart beating faster than it had in weeks. He swam as fast as he could, slicing through the water like a knife. The ocean, which had once felt soft and warm, now seemed tense, colder. Even the fish were hiding. Silence clung to the reefs like a heavy mist. When he reached the lagoon, the water was still cloudy with the last trails of Marith's spell. The black roots had melted into the sea and the pool no longer shimmered with sunlight. It looked dim, almost sick. But that was not what stopped Ranil in his tracks. It was Lyrian. She was lying on the rocks, trembling. 6 dark beasts had grown from her sides, creatures with sharp teeth and eyes full of wild fear. They growled and snapped not at him but at the sky, at the waves, at everything. She was crying, not with tears but with the soft, broken sound of someone who had lost everything. Ranil rose slowly to the surface, ashamed and horrified. "Lyraean," he whispered, though he knew she would not want to see him. "I didn't mean for this, I swear it." She did not answer. The creatures at her side snarled and turned their heads in his direction. But they didn't attack. They only watched. "I was trying to help," he said, staying back. "I thought if you could see me clearly, if you saw my heart, maybe you would." He stopped. The words sounded foolish now. Empty. Nothing could take back what he had done. And so, with a heavy heart, Ranil swam away. He did not return to the places he had once loved. Not the glowing coral gardens, not the caves where dolphins laughed, not even the deep sea forests where sea spirits sang. He wandered the far edges of the ocean where even the whales rarely passed. He stopped speaking, stopped laughing, stopped hoping. Years passed. The sea changed with the seasons. Storms came and went. Tides rose and fell. But inside Ranil, something quiet began to grow. Not grief, not shame, but understanding. He had tried to bend love with magic, and the ocean had shown him the cost. One day, he found himself near a small island he did not recognize. The beach was narrow, scattered with smooth stones. In the center stood a single rock worn down by time and tide. It was there that he saw something strange. Flowers. Delicate, glowing flowers bloomed between the cracks in the rock. They were not land flowers, nor were they like the ones in coral beds. These were something new. Their petals shimmered like moonlight, and they swayed in the windless air as if listening for music. Ranil sat beside them, and for the first time in a long while he spoke. "I am sorry." The flowers did not reply, but the waves whispered, gentle and low. "I never wanted to hurt her," he said. "I was afraid she would never understand who I was. I didn't trust that the sea could carry my heart without tricks." He picked a single flower. It pulsed softly in his hand, warm like a heartbeat. "If there is any part of her left that remembers kindness, let this reach her." He stood and placed the flower on the water. It floated, then slowly began to drift away, pulled by a current he could not see. Days passed. Ranil stayed by the shore. He did not follow the flower. He did not expect anything, but something inside him felt lighter, like a weight had finally been set down. On the 7th day, the sea stirred. A shape rose from the waves. Not Lyrian, not the one he remembered, but someone else. Her skin shimmered like calm water after a storm. Her eyes held pain, but also peace. In her hands, she held the flower he had released. "Who are you?" Ranil asked, barely breathing. "My name is Selima," she said. "I am the sea's answer to your sorrow." "Are you her?" "I am part of her," she replied. When the spell changed Lyrian, it tore her soul in two. Part of it sank into silence. The other part became me. Ranil said nothing. He only listened. "You made a mistake," Selima said. "But you also tried to make it right. And the sea remembers." "What now?" he asked. "You cannot undo what has been done. But you can begin again. Not with love that forces or fears, but with love that waits and forgives." Ranil looked at her. "And you?" "I am not here to be loved," she said softly. "I am here to help you forgive yourself." She reached out a hand. "Come with me, the ocean still needs you. Sailors lose their way. Tides shift. Not every storm can be seen." He took her hand. From that day forward, Ranil became a guide of the deep. He helped those who drifted too far, those who lost their way in the dark. And though he never saw Lyrian again, he knew that somewhere in the deep, she had found a quiet place to rest. And sometimes at night when the moon touched the waves just right, he would sing softly to the sea, and the sea would sing back.